What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the show. Gonna keep it pretty quick tonight. Honestly, guys, kind of disappointed. Just in everything. If I'm being completely honest, it's November 22nd, Monday, and as many of you know, we had the very unfortunate incident in Waukesha, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, Wisconsin, where a man drove an SUV through a holiday parade, I believe injuring 45 or so people and killing 5. And it's been really just upsetting to see how divided everyone is over all of this, because it occurred, on the coattails, or on the coattails probably isn't the right word, on the heels of the Rittenhouse verdict. And America's so divided right now. And it honestly makes me furious, because it's basically all because of the corporate media pushing these narratives on us, pushing the narrative that Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist, and that whole incident had anything to do with race when it didn't, putting out so many lies. And it's a bummer, man. I mean, I've just in the last 2 days, I've seen so much misinformation regarding the Rittenhouse trial, saying things like Rittenhouse shot black people. So many actual news outlets saying that the riots were as a result of the murder of Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake is still alive, okay? Like, so many things are just misconstrued, and so many people are opinionated and spewing vitriol when they've clearly not done any research on any of this stuff. And it's, like I said, it's just disappointing. It really sucks to see all this conflict, all this division. And it's directly attributed to the corporate media pushing this narrative. And you just saw CNN recently basically act as though all of the sudden, all of these facts are now available from the Rittenhouse trial, when we've known them since August of 2020. Things like, it turns out actually his family lived in Kenosha and he worked in Kenosha, and his mom had just moved away across state lines, and all these things that we have known that they have purposefully misled people on. And it just seems as though they're probably doing that now to really cover their butts, because they're afraid of lawsuits. And, I hope he sues the pants off of them, because what they did and the narratives they pushed, I've talked to so many people, just ordinary people, who thought, again, that he had killed black people, that it was a racially motivated thing, that he had, basically been a white supremacist who drove from states away with his rifle, ready to murder people. I mean, this is the picture that they painted of this kid, and it was so far from reality, and they knew it. That's the worst part, is that they knew it, and they did it because it gets eyeballs, right? Controversy gets clicks, gets eyeballs, and they are using their irregard for human life, for what human lives mean, to push profits. And that's all they care about. And it's disgusting. And I've just seen, again, so many things that were incorrect. The crossing state lines with a weapon thing, we've known that's not the case. Saying that he was illegally carrying a weapon, we know that's not the case. It was not illegal. And then you see things like this woman from Twitter, Mary Lemansky, had tweeted out basically that the incident where the guy drove the SUV through the Christmas parade today was essentially karma, and that he was doing it in self-defense. She said, I'm sure he didn't want to hurt anyone. He came to help people, making light of it, referring to the Rittenhouse trial. Just absolutely disgusting take on things. This woman Thank goodness she was ousted from her position. She was, I guess, she had some kind of role with the DuPage Democrats. I guess that's where she lived or whatever. But she had made these tweets, these reactionary tweets to this incident, and she wasn't the only one. You saw lots and lots of people, specifically Democrats, folks on the left, but just putting out these just heartless messages in response to this man driving through, again, like close to 50 people in this Christmas parade. And they saw it as an opportunity to make snarky comments referring to the Rittenhouse trial. Absolutely disgusting garbage humans. It's just the worst, man. I mean, it was just, again, gives me, and sorry, I'm kind of speechless because it's really frustrated me today and it's left me at a loss for words because I'm just so disappointed in us. I truly am. So she was forced to resign from her position, so that's good. I honestly, I am generally against cancel culture and all of that, and I don't really think this is cancel culture. I think that probably she paid the consequence for her actions, and her employer or whatever. I don't know if it would be considered employment. She might have been just a volunteer for the Democrats, that Democrat organization, but whatever. She was forced to step down. So, and here was her statement. Again, this is Mary Lemansky with the DuPage Democrats. I firmly believe in the right to freedom of speech. Yeah, as long as it's speech she agrees with. I also believe that you must be willing to accept responsibility and the consequences of your actions for that speech. I unfortunately made some remarks that were not in good taste regarding the Waukesha tragedy yesterday. I am accepting the consequences of my free speech, and so I have resigned as social media manager. So that's what her position was. And the Democratic Party of DuPage County has accepted my resignation. So this is the kind of stuff that's been happening, you guys. Just, again, 17-year-old kid. We went through the trial extensively in the last episode where I had Josh on, the criminal defense attorney, who walked us through the entire trial. Kid was there treating the wounds of protesters, cleaning up graffiti, putting out fires. Got attacked, defended himself, and he's still being made out to be this horrible person by celebrities. You know, some of the more egregious ones are Mark Ruffalo, for example, calling Joseph Rosenbaum, the man who anally raped little boys under the age of 11, calling him JoJo. I guess he wanted to give him a cute little nickname. I don't know why. He sympathizes with this person, and basically making a tweet in his remembrance or whatever, talking about how Kyle Rittenhouse is a horrible person and justice wasn't done. And meanwhile, what happened was this Rosenbaum guy was just attacking another kid. And this kid happened to defend himself. And he had a gun. And he took Rosenbaum's life. So, you know, you can call him JoJo and make all your little virtue signaling sentimental posts all you want. But again, it's gross how divided and how misinformed so many people are on this. It's very obvious who did and did not watch the trial. As soon as people start talking about it, I saw a guy today on Facebook who was just so confidently asserting himself, saying to someone else that they don't know what they're talking about. Joseph Rosenbaum was not a sex offender. There's no evidence of that and all of this. And so I just replied with the screenshot of his record and the screenshot of him on the sex offender list. And then the guy deleted the thread. So it's just stuff like this where, for whatever reason, people feel so empowered to be opinionated and to speak up when they have not done their research. Clearly, they didn't follow the trial at all, but they're not going to miss out on an opportunity to virtue signal. So it's just been, again, it's been crushing, honestly, to just see how we've reacted to all of this. So anyway, what happened with the incident with the SUV? So 5 died. I believe they were like between the age of 52 and in the 80s. They were all elderly, or 50s, I guess you would consider elderly. But the man who did it was basically I guess he was a quote rapper or an aspiring rapper. He had just gotten out on bail for charges like domestic abuse charges, and apparently he had been pimping out a 16-year-old at some point. He had basically all these charges, and he had been continually let out. And his name was or is Daryl Brooks, a black guy, and he had posted a ton of anti-white propaganda basically on his social media and made songs to that effect as well. And now the bottom line is he drove through a huge crowd of basically all white people. So we don't know if it's racially motivated at this point, but those are the facts. And it's been interesting to see outlets like CNN purposefully excluding those facts in this instance, where it's a black man who's committing the crime. And on the other hand, when the Rittenhouse stuff went down, immediately it's white supremacist, white male, this, that, and the other. And they recently had a headline saying that the most terrifying thing in America is a angry white man or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. It was something stupid like that. It's just they are purposefully driving a narrative, trying to just continually create this divisiveness between us and then withhold information when it doesn't suit their narrative, I guess. And then it's just gross. It really is gross. And here we are, folks fighting on social media, arguing over all kinds of things. And I made a tweet earlier that essentially expressed my point of view with all of this, because honestly, I really don't care about your race or any of that stuff. And this is what I said. I said I couldn't care less what race, political party, or any other identifier you use. If you drive your vehicle through an innocent, unsuspecting crowd, including children, in a holiday parade, you're the lowest level of human. Period. That's it. Why can't we just all agree on that? Why can't we just all accept that? I mean, you basically have certain news outlets that are trying to paint a picture of him being less, I guess, culpable or whatever, saying he was fleeing the scene of another crime as though that makes it better. He committed another crime and he was fleeing from that. So it's not so bad that he drove through 50 people and killed 5 of them. And then I noticed in the reporting in CNN on the incident said that police apprehended the suspect after he drove his car through the crowd, and they had to make a note saying basically like, just good news, the suspect wasn't injured. Like, who cares? I don't care if he was injured. He should have been injured. Like, what a disgusting human, right? But this is the kind of stuff that's going on, and it's just, what happened to pragmatism? What happened to just, why can't we agree that a man who drives an SUV through a huge crowd of people, killing a handful of them, is a terrible human and should get the worst of it? Like people making light of it, people trying to come up with excuses why he did it. And it's just, it sucks, you guys. Sorry to be such a bummer tonight, but that's been the main theme of the day today is all this information unfolding. I think it was a group called the Dancing Grannies that he drove through primarily, which I guess are a group that dances every year in that particular holiday parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin. So I was really hoping that the fact that all of the facts were so clear in the Rittenhouse case and everything was exposed, it was very clear that he's not a white supremacist. He hadn't done anything to indicate that whatsoever. The verdict was very clearly based on the facts that are in the video that don't show anything racist at all. I was really hopeful that we could get through it and I don't know, not fight over dumb shit like this. But here we are. People are still stoking the fire. When I say people, I mean celebrities, politicians. We had I've got to call these 2 guys out. These just absolute terrible humans. Bill de Blasio is one of them. I do remember. Basically, I want to find his tweet here. Bear with me, you guys. I screenshotted a bunch of stuff today and yesterday. So, sorry if I'm breathing heavily, too. I just worked out. I'm probably sweating, too, if you're watching the video. So, apologies for that. I can't find it. Where did I put it? Oh, well. Look, you know what? Let me just go on Twitter and find Bill de Blasio. And the other was Gavin Newsom. I mean, the two biggest clowns out there. Bill de Blasio's Twitter is not coming up. Interesting. Bill de Blasio. I wonder if his account was like suspended or what. I don't know. Maybe he blocked me. Who knows? Weird. His Bill de Blasio's account is not coming up. So let me pull up Gavin Newsom's account. That's weird. Okay, here's Gavin Newsom. I'll read you what he said. Bear with me. So here's one. I think he did another one too, but here's one. America today. You can break the law, carry around weapons built for a military, shoot and kill people, and get away with it. That's the message we've just sent to armed vigilantes across the nation. Meanwhile, this guy's state is an utter disaster in terms of crime, in terms of drugs, in terms of homelessness. Yet he's going to comment on something that happened in Wisconsin. He can't even get his own state under control. These people are just gross. It's awful. I really do. I hate it for America, and again, the biggest enemy here, I think the biggest wrongdoer are the corporate media outlets. It's the corporate media that's just driving this stuff. And like I said, there's so many examples of just outright lies that they posted about the Rittenhouse case. Things that we've known not to be true for quite some time. And, the really kind of crappy part of all of it is I haven't seen a single fact check on any of that stuff. You guys remember you would get all these fact checks on posts if you had said something about the efficacy of the vaccine or something like that. They'd find some way to fact check you and be like partly false and be like, make some erroneous statement. There are no fact checks on this whatsoever. And for that matter, there hasn't been a fact check on any of the lies our president has said. It's so frustrating because it's so obviously one-sided, and it's like when you have the Independent make a post that says that Kyle Rittenhouse killed black men, like why isn't that fact checked? Why isn't there a little notifier on there saying fact check false? It's like they want it to happen. They want to stoke the division. And it's so frustrating because even when I try to talk to people to get through to them, they're basically so far gone. They're so indoctrinated by this false messaging that they're just like, whatever, you're just making excuses. I'm like, no, I promise you, please look at the facts of the trial. Watch the trial video. You can see everything. I think any human that can be objective and use their brain and watch video footage would see very clearly the facts here, which leads me to believe that guys like Bill de Blasio and Gavin Newsom and all these other clowns who are out there basically saying justice wasn't done and whining about this verdict, they're either lying about the fact that they watched the trial or they know that they're lying or that they're wrong rather, and they just don't care because what matters more to them is signaling that they're on this side or that side or whatever. And it's, it's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. So anyway, that's what's going on. I don't really have anything else for you guys. This was kind of a bummer, but what I would say is do your research. Really seek out information. You can't rely on these corporate media outlets. They're profit driven. They don't care about truth. They don't care about informing you properly. They care about making money, and they care about controversy and stoking the fires of conflict in our country. And they made it very clear with all of this, and their coverage of the event that happened in Waukesha and their coverage of the Rittenhouse trial. Just explore different sources, do your research, look around, talk to people. You've got to these days. You've got to. Unfortunately, it's like trying to drink from a water hose on full blast, or a fire hydrant, or whatever the analogy is. There's so much information, and so much of it is false or doctored or just slightly skewed, or things are left out to make you think a different thing. So you have to, guys, look at tons of sources just to get the full picture. So that's, I guess, the best advice I can give. And just know that the corporate media is the enemy. They are the enemy, because they are shaping a reality that we perceive based off of their desire for profits and their desire to create conflict, and nothing more. So perception is reality, though. So the picture they are painting for you, based solely on their motives that are not benevolent, that picture is the reality that you're living in, right? And you're basing your decisions, and you're going through life using that information. So please just explore different sources, I guess, and try to have conversations with people who disagree with you. I know it can be tough these days, and maybe not even over social media, but in person. We're coming up on Thanksgiving, if you celebrate that holiday. I was recently told when I brought it up that it's a terrible holiday and I shouldn't celebrate it. But if you are sitting at the Thanksgiving table with family, remember that it very well could be that they're not a bad person. They've just been getting their news from a different source, and that source has been misconstruing things for impure motives. And maybe you guys can have a civil conversation and work it out, and you share information with them, they share information with you. But it's tough out there, guys. It truly is. I spend so much time in this stuff, trying to make sure I understand everything, and doing hours of reading and research and listening to podcasts and different things. And sometimes I forget that the average person spends maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes a day taking in news just happening across things in their social media, and they just read a headline and that's it. So, I'm trying to be empathetic. I'm trying to be understanding. I'm trying to remember that. But it's crazy when I know what I know, for example, about like the Rittenhouse trial. And then I talk to someone who's just like, yeah, that guy, he was a crazy guy who was a racist who drove down and to shoot people. And I'm like, no, this is what happened. And that's a direct result of these corporate media outlets. So please be skeptical. Make sure you, at least if you're going to, just look at all the major corporate outlets, and that will paint you a better picture, right? So just look at MSNBC, Fox, and CNN, and you can take a composite of those, and that'll get you closer to the truth than just looking at one of them. So that's it, man. Try to be civil, try to have conversations, and ultimately, I've said it a million times, they want us to hate each other. We can't let them win. And we can't. You have to remember that it's we the people, and then it's them, the corporate media, the elite class, a lot of these crooked politicians. And as much as they may profess to care about us, they don't. But we have to care about one another. So we as Americans have to stick together, and we have to realize that they're trying to pit white against black. They're trying to pit male against female, gay against straight, trans against cis. All the different identifiers, all the things that they know people can be passionate about. They're going to try to create that conflict. And we can't let them do that. We have to talk to each other. We can't listen to them. So with that, you all, again, sorry for the negative bummer of a message tonight, but that's just what's going on right now. And those are my thoughts. So until next time, keep your minds free.